Hello, hello, hello. I am here, always fashionably late. So, I'm here today to talk about why passive funnels typically underperform live launches. So, if you've been following me, if you're new, hi, hello, my name is Catherine Feliciano, and I am absolutely obsessed with the idea that passive funnels don't have to underperform live launches. Since when, right? Because in the last three businesses before I pivoted my niche, I've always had launch level revenue on autopilot without needing to have to be launching. Now, one of the things that I wanted to cover is the fact that the reason why passive funnels underperform is because they're missing the thing that actually converts. So, for example, during a launch, you do a lot of priming. That's what's missing. So, when you launch, you end up absolutely putting out content that creates the conversion. So, you end up putting out content that primes her, that shifts her beliefs. You end up putting out content ahead of time that builds up this really, really juicy demand that otherwise, by the time she actually gets to the pitch, she's already in. So I used to think, and I think still a lot of people believe that you need to be in the room to explain it. So if you've ever said, oh, I just need to be in the room to teach, to explain my offer, to bring the energy, to do XYZ, not exactly. So obviously there is an exchange in energy being live. However, I would argue that, there's tons of launches where a lot of people show up and the person's live and they don't convert. That's because they weren't primed. And if that were the case, if it was because they were live, then the majority of people would convert during the launch. I mean, during the live event, not like the day before. So this is what I'm saying. And so I'm here today to essentially shift your belief. And remember that I said shift your belief because that'll come in handy later. To shift your belief into thinking that a launch is not actually that a live launch, right? Having like 3 days, 3 trainings, launching something new, followed by a master class, a bunch of sales calls. That's not you don't necessarily need to do that. Like, I'm not saying this has to replace your launches. I'm not saying this has to replace your sales calls. I'm not saying you never show up. However, if that is the only thing you're doing, and the minute you step back, your sales are like, then we need to talk, because that's exactly how you are capping your income right now. And so what ends up happening is that when you show up, like for example, I'm showing up right now, this will on its own just create a sales spike, just a small spike of sales. It won't create a sustained, consistent revenue stream. So the more you keep showing up doesn't mean the more you're going to actually make sales. And so this is something that I'm really, really, really passionate about, because I see so many women showing up over and over and consistently and launching after launching after launch after launch after launch. And there's literally no, like they'll cap their income and they go to another coach, they go to somebody else, and they tell them, oh, you just do a visibility plan, just post more, and just no. We need to get out of that. We need to stop doing things in sprints, because that means you're showing up as a salesperson in your business, not as a CEO, not where you want to go. That might have gotten you where you're at, but a different type of strategy is needed in order to continue to scale. And so, for example, let's just talk about short-term content for a second. It has its place. I absolutely love short-form content. It's a part of my strategy, and it should be a part of yours too. However, again, short form is synonymous to launching. It's going to create an attention grab. But that's really all it should be about, right? I mean, think about it. It's called a reel for a reason. It's supposed to reel people in. It's what happens after that that really creates conversion. So I'm not saying it doesn't work, but what I'm saying is if that's all you're relying on, then it's no wonder why your revenue is up and down or why it's capped. And then if you're putting all your eggs in that basket, what happens? You have to post even more to keep up. Because what happens is if you take somebody from a reel straight to your webinar, that's a big hole in your funnel. And that's essentially where, for example, when you think about passive funnels, you're like, oh, passive funnels are just passive, so that means they're slower. Nope, we don't do that here. It's a lie that we've been sold. To say that passive funnels are passive and you should just make less money than a live launch, no. Because like I said, going from just a reel straight to your masterclass pitch is literally why there's such a massive gap in there. Because during the launch, you don't just send them from a reel to your masterclass. You build up that sales momentum. You put out more content, but not just any kind of content. It's not about putting out more and more content, but they go through an arc of content that as you shift their beliefs, as you prime them, then they get to the live event, then they get to your masterclass, and then they convert. So I hope that makes sense. And when you really think about, okay, if you are ready to like say, okay, I really want to scale, but I don't want to, scale my hours. I don't feel like launching every 6 weeks. I don't feel like showing up like a glorified salesperson in my business. But you keep hitting that same wall and you're like, well, what else do I do? Like, if you're like, my reality is like, yeah, like when I show up, or like if you're thinking, oh, my offer is just like really, really intuitive or really, really special and all this stuff. Or if you're showing up like, okay, I'm going to post daily to fill up my next masterclass, or I'm going to sell a $37 workshop that leads into my premium offer. Or if you're showing up like just enough to keep your audience warm, but things are feeling stale, like obviously, yes, people buy from you. Obviously, you're amazing. Obviously, you have the receipts. You are changing lives. But like the moment you step back, anything happens in your life, you have to step back. Your sales stall, your engagement drops, and you're like, okay, what do I create next? Do I have to create another offer now? I am not saying this from an ivory tower. Like, I was there as well. This is what we were taught, right? So this model especially worked when, way back when like the algorithm was actually working with us, right? When consistent content literally meant, okay, X amount of people will see this. Like, you could kind of see that your reach was getting higher and higher, but like, that's not the same landscape we're in. It's been a few years and it's not the same. And I will not sugarcoat it. I will not gaslight you here. I don't know why people are acting like it's not a thing. It's a thing. Okay. Doesn't have to limit us, but it's a thing. And it's good and a great thing that we can be aware of that. Because in 2025, it's not just about being relevant, right? It's not just about being relatable. It's not just about, being authentic. It's also about being resonant. And in order for resonance to land, we got to shift something here, because you will just be continuously feeding the knowledge, showing up, launching, showing blah, 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 every single month the same. We got to switch it up. Okay. So it's like, yeah, your master classes fill up, but it's usually the same people. Yes, your launches still work, but they're hitting a ceiling. And the only way to kind of like, you're thinking, okay, I got to shake things up. I got to create another offer. So it's always create. That cycle is like you running in place. And in a couple of years, if you don't fit, so whenever, and this is so important to bring up, because trust me, I have seen what happens when people feel the urge, right? They feel that feminine urge, whatever you want to call it, right? Where they're being called to shift, but they're simply holding back because it's unfamiliar territory or what have you, or no, this is what's always worked, or like when it's so difficult for them to shift and they stay in one place, I have seen the deterioration that happens after that. And you'll literally look at the next coach and you're like, okay, she's got this momentum. Like, what is she doing that's different? Honey, that momentum that you see like these bigger coaches sustaining is not technically magic. It's systems, right? They've got ads, they've got funnels, all kinds of funnels. They have automation, they have leverage. But if all you're showing up and you're kind of doing the manual thing, the difference is that they have a structure that holds and compounds sales demand without them having to like constantly generate it from scratch. So there's a huge buffer between where they come in and their sales come in. And it's a little frustrating, I'm not gonna lie, because whereas they're the same ones telling you, oh, just show up more, you're instructed to do the heavy lifting, just like visibility for visibility's sake, attention for attention's sake. But that's not enough anymore in 2025, let alone scalable. Again, it creates flashes, sales spikes, this quick hit, right? Quick hits of traction before you're right back to square one. And I'll be the one to tell you this because I actually care. It's because you are the funnel, not the founder. But that can end now. You're not behind. It was meant to get you here, but it's not going to be any longer meant to get you where you need to go. Because you don't need another repurposed 90-day content calendar. You don't need to do that. Or you need to show up more. Another exhaustive visibility sprint. Or again, more attention for just attention's sake. What you need is a continuous, bingeable, automated sales experience. A sales path that doesn't just depend on you. And so when I talk about passive funnels, this isn't your regular passive funnel, right? This is one that compound that sales demand. So for example, it's the same demand that you build during a launch, but on repeat. And it happens without you having to step in. And yes, that is possible. Because like I said, when you step back, your sales don't fizzle. They actually stack with the kind of funnel that I help people build. So this type of funnel makes people obsessed with you from the very beginning. Like, let's step back for a second. Let's just think about how someone buys, right? They find you through a reel. They're like, oh my God, this is amazing. They keep binging every single reel. They go through your page. They click a few links. They might find you on YouTube. They binge as much as possible. And then they make a buying decision. Well, think about all those hoops they're jumping through just to figure out who you are, what you do. Maybe your link in bio was great. Maybe it's not. Maybe they're like, what exactly do they do? How do they figure? Let's not make them go through hoops. Let's create a streamlined sales experience so that you can breathe and step back and it not really impact how much you earn in between launches. I'm not saying you have to replace your launches, but just think about if a launch level revenue was your baseline, not your best case scenario. So the type of funnel that I help my clients build and I run myself is called a bingeable series funnel. Again, it's an automated sales experience, not your regular passive funnel. Think pre-launch sales magic of a live launch paired with like this obsession driving power of a Netflix series. So this type of funnel isn't just created in so it, number one, is formatted in a way in which she actually purchases. Like I just said, she goes through and binges you, but better. And it also has a second component, which I'll get into in a second. But if you haven't already binged my podcast, Binge and Buy the Secret podcast, I urge you to go watch it absolutely right now, because I go into detail about everything that's involved, not just about passive funnels, but also about visibility, also about the science of becoming bingeable, which is absolutely essential, because I just talked about visibility. Well, the answer is shifting to becoming bingeable, becoming a bingeable brand, because after X amount of years, 4-ish years of doing this, I know that the more bingeable you are, just that's the common denominator across the board. The more bingeable you are, the more people can consume you in bite-sized pieces that lead to other bite-sized pieces, kind of like my funnel, that leads to sales without you needing to be in the room, right? I also explained in there why she'll obsess and buy before you're in the room, and why launch level demand, the way that I build it, doesn't expire. Because yes, there are, and this is probably one of my favorite topics, there are two types of demand. There's that, hype girl sales energy, that hype demand that you build during a launch that expires when your car closes. But then there's another kind of demand called belief shift in demand, which I will talk about in the next live next week, that actually never expires. Because think about it, like when you shift the belief, nothing impacts that. You will continue to believe that she will continue to believe that you are the best option, regardless of whether she buys that second, or God forbid, her kid threw up, her internet her Wi-Fi got disconnected, or whatever. The next minute she sees your post, she automatically buys. And I have studied this in myself across really, really successful coaches, and it's the common denominator. Now, I also talk about the one funnel metric that I watch like a hawk. And you'd be surprised at the one that it is. It's not what you think. And I also talk about in the final episode what it really takes to set up a bingeable series funnel. I go into the build and everything. So also, this is obviously as well the funnel in action. So I urge you to watch that. But the next thing I wanted to talk about is if you've ever put your launch on autopilot, right? Again, only to watch it like underperform, cover flash. Again, it is because it is missing the priming. It is because it is missing the pre-launch. Now, I want to talk about how short form content, just a reminder, short form content, again, has its place, gets attention, but it's not what creates conversion. So what creates a bingeable path isn't necessarily that you have to create a whole YouTube channel, although not a bad idea. But it does mean that you need someone, because it takes on average 7 hours of interaction before a buyer is ready to move. Not 7 posts, not 7 reels, 7 to 10 hours. Like it takes a while, right? And so again, if you're having them jump through hoops, 4-second reels here, random posts, scattered highlights, clunky link trees, you're losing them. And so that is where the rest of your launch revenue goes with a passive funnel. And so, however, when you have a binge-worthy path, a structured, guided experience that moves them through belief shifts where short-form content connects to that with intention, not an accident, right? The right message in the right order, right? That's important. It has to be in the right order. That's what collapses the sales timeline without you having to step in. And so I think it's also just really beautiful when you can step into a funnel that actually feels like you, a funnel that isn't like a copy paste funnel where it's like super like clinical and you're just going in and people don't really get to dive into your energy, get to and get into your vibe, your world, the way that you teach. This also solves for that. And I know that this is really important, again, for people who feel like, I just need to be there in the room to explain my offer. Again, that's just another block. And so when you are truly the bottleneck in your business, it can be tricky, right? It can make you a little bit resentful of your business. You could be like, man, like, this is starting to feel heavy. And if you're absolutely anything like I was, you didn't start this business to just end up glued to your phone, overthinking hooks and just hoping the algorithm throws you a bone. Again, you've got the offers, babe. You've got the brilliance, the receipts. But if you're going from cash injection to cash injection, rapid launching, Hail Mary content, again, you're operating as the funnel, which is exactly why your income plateaus the minute that you pause. And honestly, you're just too smart and too seasoned for that. And so I created my bingeable series funnel, which that's what this live is about. I'm officially opening doors to it. I'll put the link in the chat at the end. I created the bingeable series funnel because I was done performing for my business like it was a never-ending one-woman show. Especially if you're a solopreneur, I know this is hitting home. But literally no one in this industry was teaching a model that matched my standard, my vision, exactly what I wanted, something that would work for me. So I trailblazed it myself. And if you're neurospicy, ADHD anyone, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. So I wanted a funnel, right, that not only sold without me, but actually felt like me. Rich in vibe, rooted in value, and just magnetic AF, right? I didn't want, again, like this 4-page hypey, bro markety thing, shooting a few emails and a prayer. Like, I didn't want conversions that were just good enough, but never really sold out. I wanted to sell like Netflix, on demand, without needing to be in the room, but still making her feel like I was, like Drew Barrymore style, like super close on a couch. So I knew that I didn't just need a funnel though, right? I also needed to become the kind of woman who could hold passive money making without panic. So yes, this isn't just strategy. This is also identity work. Boom. I bet you didn't see that one coming. So I needed to become the kind of woman who could lean back and just let her funnel compound without over tweaking and people pleasing it to death by 10 a.m. That's why my bingeable series funnel program isn't just here's what I did. It's also here's who I became. Because when your systems and your standards are bingeable, oh my God, babe, you can scale without sprinting, being on all the time, second guessing every decision. That's when you actually become a founder and not the funnel. And that's what this work unlocks. And once you taste it, you will never go back. Now, I'm going to quickly, because we're coming up on 30 minutes, just go over exactly what is inside my offer. And again, I'm going to put the link in the chat. But I will say that this is the only time that the bingeable series funnel will be offered at this investment level. And doors close July 9th. So I'm going to tell you exactly what is inside. So first and foremost, it's a 9-week experience that will permanently shift the way you scale. So you can finally generate launch size demand and constant sales without launching like it's your full-time job. It is a total transformation. So you're gonna, before I get into specific, you can sell without sprinting with this, right? Because your offers and your funnel is gonna magnetize premium buyers without you needing to be in the room. Live launching or praying that the algorithm gods are in your favor this week. You're gonna lean back without the panic. You're gonna stay anchored even when you're not posting daily, whether you show up or not that day, or when you're watching funnel metrics like a hawk. I don't do that, and I still get paid. Create compound sales energy on autopilot. So instead of like this feast to famine thing, you build a binge-worthy funnel that fuels itself, and the best part is that it continues to compound. So when I talk about a baseline, this is also climbing, and you'll see why in a second. Because it is like every single, like the longer your funnel is online, like it will continue to compound that sales demand, and it's so freaking juicy. So you're also going to trust that your system is working just as much as you trust your genius, because the right funnel, again, isn't just strategy. It's also an extension of you, a structure that liberates you. And so what happens in this program is that each week you'll get a new module drop starting July 10th. And while, again, this isn't technically a live coaching container, you'll have a direct line to submit reflections and questions. So I know where you need clarity, and you will get a response back. But this will actually be most likely the only round with a feedback loop before this becomes like a full self-study program. So this is your chance. Okay, so here's what's included. So this is my 4-part proven system to design, build, and optimize your binge-worthy funnel. No complicated tech. So here's how we do it. Step 1 is we clear the static from you, your offer, to pave a path for her, your client, to tune in and say yes. You'll see what I mean in a second. Step 2 is build your bingeable sales series that collapses timelines and compounds demand. Step 3 is you step into the identity of the founder who holds passive sales without performing. And step 4 is called broadcast. This one is send the right signal to attract ready to buy people who binge themselves to a yes. So that's where you fill your funnel, because obviously we're not just gonna build this beautiful funnel and then just gonna walk away and just be like, okay, bye. Like we're actually gonna fill it, because it's not just gonna be on its own in an island. So let's dive into a little bit more about each phase. So in phase 1, we tune in. So this is where, again, we're going to clear the static. We're going to clear the clutter that keeps you overperforming and under earning. So in the first week, the first module is called the obvious yes offer strip down. So we want to make your offer an obvious yes, right? Again, if you've ever said, I just need to be in the room to explain it, to hold her hand, to sell it, that is where this ends, because here we dial into your transformation of the offer itself without diluting it. So we take your everything but the kitchen sink offer, calls, Voxer, meditations, everything you threw in there, even that one expert guest that you forgot was even in there, and we repackage it into a bingeable core transformation without diluting its potency. So she instantly gets it and absolutely wants it. Because think about it. If we dial in the transformation and it's clear and it's digestible, again, without diluting the potency and the power of your offer, this is an art form, then what happens? She's like, instantly gets it without you needing to be there to explain it. It's pretty simple. So you're not going to need a super long-winded pitch that takes 2 to 3 days to land, right? You're going to cut the fluff, and that becomes simple when, and listen to this is a little nugget here, when we position your offer for the only version of your client who matters. Let that sink in. That is literally like 99% of this work. The only person who matters is the one who needs your offer now, not maybe later. And this is a loaded kind of statement, because that means you're narrowing your message. Again, it's about narrowing your message, not your niche. You're not going to be cutting people off, but this is so important. You want to be laser focused on the only person that your offer is for. Not a niche. Notice I'm not talking to coaches, service providers, healers. No. When you do that, that's when you need to add hype to your funnel in order for people to catch attention. So, for example, I've seen many of you who have this amazing engagement. People are raising their hand like, yes, send me the link, girl. Oh my God, I love this. You're so inspirational. Okay, cool. You send them the link, and then it's like, they don't show up to that same energy to your masterclass replay or to your sales page. What's good with that? Okay. So by the end of this phase, by the end of this week, your offer will be so clear, so bingeable, and so juicy that you'll seriously just want to buy it from yourself. Now, I don't have to speed it up because I don't want to take longer than 45 minutes, but might be a little bit over. Okay, week 2, the pre-selling belief map. Now, this is, I don't know, this is literally my life's work here. This is my freaking baby, right? So I'm just so excited. This isn't your grandpa's objection handling 101, by the way. So we're going to be mapping the exact belief shifts and micro decisions that your dream client needs to make in the right order. Clock that, in the right order, to be a hell yes, a full body yes, at any price point before she ever hits her sales page. That's sink in. We're going to map it out from exactly where she's at. And like I said, this is for the person who is ready for it now. So they're already problem aware. Now, the goal of your funnel is to make her solution aware. So this is essentially the heart of the Bingeable series funnel. It's my proprietary, I like to call it, it's this narrative arc, right? That builds that juicy pre-launch sales momentum, but better, that I was talking about before. So again, unlike that hype girl sales demand that expires the minute your open cart closes at the end of a launch, this is actually what we built is belief-based demand. This is a new kind of demand that I created that not only primes, but compounds way after your launch ends, because it shifts something internal in her world. It leaves a mark. It creates a new belief. And yes, beliefs can be shifted in an instant. However, when it's cemented, doesn't matter. Like, you could be in a good mood, in a bad mood. Time could go by. You'll still believe that. Okay. And this will come in handy after. So remember that. This is necessary, or else how are you going to scale to consistent high cash months without driving every sale by hand? Now, this is something that I go over because it's actually a third kind of demand. I go over this. I believe it's like in maybe the 4th. I think it's the 5th episode of the series. You really want to catch that series seriously, because it's going to make all of this so easy. There's also the anti-hijacking protocol week 3. So next, your funnel will never, and this is the part where we focus on you, because your funnel will never outsell the limits of your own belief ceiling, period. Now, this is something that took me forever to understand, because how is it that it's not only just strategy? Here we flip the script and map your belief shifts. So just like we mapped where your audience needs to be all the way to get your audience to say yes to your offer, we do the complete opposite for you to be in complete alignment with your funnel. This is what I like to call internal buy-in. So this is where we audit where your current beliefs, where you currently are on your offer, your clients, on this way of selling, this being this like bingeable funnel, but also yourself. So these are the subconscious scripts hijacking your ability to receive clients and cash flow through a bingeable sales strategy that doesn't rely on hustle, that doesn't rely on being on 24/7, that doesn't rely on this like over caffeinated nervous system. So this isn't, though, let me be clear. This isn't about being in the energy or selling with conviction. You already are in the energy. You already sell with conviction. I've seen you. Okay. I know who you are. And again, you could do both. You could be in the energy, you could be in conviction, and still find yourself tweaking things that don't need to be tweaked, showing up extra, kind of like panic selling a new offer mid-funnel build, or just convincing yourself it's not working like 2 days in. Why? Because if up until now, your whole experience has been performing to earn, then we need to work on that in order for you to have success with this funnel. So this is the difference. And I love to say this. This is the difference between an amazing solution that one person will purchase, right? And it'll work wonders for them. The next person, same experience, probably same niche, same type of offers, same everything, same experience, same drive, same conviction, same energy when they show up and sell the out of it, but has a belief system that doesn't let them relax into it. So then they end up slightly self-sabotaging it at every turn, not seeing that it's working, and then becoming like this self-fulfilling prophecy where it doesn't work. This is that. And again, I would be doing a great disservice if all I did was just like, here's a template and walk away like other funnel programs do, which obviously this is not a template. This is such a bespoke offer, is literally my life's work, and I'm obsessed with it. And so will you. Anyway, let me quickly go through phase 2. This is where we collapse the sales timeline for people to find you today and pay you tonight. So week 4, we build your binge-worthy series. So this is where we stop leaking sales and clients. Again, instead of sending your audience on this like scavenger hunt, bouncing between your Instagram, random posts, stale funnels, yada, yada, we streamline their path to a yes, right? Without you needing to be there, right? So no more long-winded pitches, again, that take 2 to 3 business days to land, right? And let me just be clear, because probably if you see my series, you're like, okay, this is 7 episodes. What the heck do I even talk about? They're short, bite-sized episodes between 7 to 15 minutes. But these episodes aren't just like any type of content, right? So it's not your typical 45-minute long YouTube thing, right? Or, these are specifically dial-in belief shifting episodes. So it's not about info dumping or repurposing a 5-day challenge or nothing like that, right? Or this is about expertly crafted episodes that highlight the client's belief shifts that we kind of mapped out in phase 1, and building that desire, that belief-based desire for your offer without like reteaching what's inside of it. So don't worry if you're like, okay, how do I do this without teaching what's in my offer? Don't worry. By the end, you'll stop proposing on the first date with every post because that's what I felt like I was doing. It felt like, hey, hi, I just met you. Marry me. No. Okay. Each post will be a part of a system that won't just create one-off sales spikes and just hope, because it's like when you do that, it's kind of like hoping that every single person is already solution aware. That's just like a huge gap in your funnel. So you want to start stacking sales momentum and set on autopilot with this bingeable kind of like safety net, because it will compound instead of reset every month for you. How does that sound? Incredible, right? Now, week 5 is the category of 1 sales atmosphere. So this is where, and again, when I said that whole Drew Barrymore thing, this is like where it becomes real. So here's where you build this like fireside chat aesthetic funnel type of intimately converting experience that literally like there will be no other competition. Because think about it, this isn't, if you've seen my funnel, and I will link that as well. If you've seen my Binge and Buy podcast, it's a video podcast. It didn't start out that way, but it is now. You will see how it will make you stand out. This is not a generic cookie cutter funnel, again, that leans on hype or hacks. So you won't be competing with people. And by the end, you'll have this container where you've built your series lives, you set up the landing page. You're going to have like the follow-up. Again, we design a journey that feels like she's in your living room with her feet pulled up, giggling with a glass of champagne. By the end, you'll have a high converting funnel that feels so candidly you that she will not be shopping around anywhere else, because you'll become a category of 1. You'll set yourself apart without you needing to hustle to get there. Now, phase 3 is called channel, because here is where we embody the founder identity. So before we send a single person into that funnel, in week 6, we take a whole week and you're like, probably gonna be like, oh, I just want to fill it. We're going to cast the vision of this future bingeable funnel founder that you are. So we're going to cast that vision, and we're going to zoom all the way in on the most elevated version of the bingeable founder. This is so important to see yourself as somebody who can earn without performance. It is literally everything. This is how you're able to actually rewire your beliefs to get to launch level months. Be the kind of founder who gets to launch level with her funnel quietly stacking sales in the background. So she's secure, she's decisive, she's not checking her Stripe account every few hours to say if it's working, right? Her certainty doesn't come from what's in her bank account. It's sourced from remembering exactly who the F she became before results ever showed up. And I know you're already successful, so you don't even have time. You won't even have trouble doing this. By the end, you'll bring her into the now, start moving like her, because that's how she becomes your new normal. In week 7, the emotional signal for bingeable million. So this is something that I am absolutely obsessed with as well. And this is where we kind of install this belief that the more you feel, the more you make. Each emotion that you feel on a daily basis becomes an opportunity to expand your earning capacity, while not having to perform for it though. So this is where your emotions become the kind of like loop, right? Between your new belief standard and your future self-made millionaire with this type of funnel. So no more guilt from being in a funk and thinking, oh, I'm not going to make money. I remember thinking like, oh my God, my kids are driving me crazy. I'm like annoyed and in a mood because I'm hormonal, blah, 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 blah. None of that matters. So this will not feel, and let me just say this, because I really disliked when people said, oh, just act as if you already had, the success that you want to build. Like, just act as if, the type of money you're calling it, blah, blah, blah. No, I'm not going to play act that, because it's not going to feel real. It's not going to feel authentic. It's going to feel like a lie. And that actually, in my opinion, just puts more distance between you and what you want. The key here is your emotional world, managing that like the type of figure woman you are. So this isn't about feeling high vibe all the time. We feel it all, deeply, positive, negative, messy, magnetic. Then we align it to how future you and her beliefs would respond. Just about the response. So it's not about pushing things down, or like, if you feel doubt, feel it. Give yourself a second. Then be like, it's a story. Why? Here's how my future me would respond to this. And then taking action from that. Every single thing you feel, whether good, bad, great, becomes an opportunity for you to take an aligned action from the version of you who's already managed. And this is literally how, so this is something that nobody would, like, you will be hard pressed to find this inside of a funnel program. But this is literally the mechanics of becoming your own self-fulfilling prophecy for success, especially with a funnel. Especially, chances are, if you're here, I know exactly the way you operate. You like to move. You like to be taking action, a little bit in the masculine. Trust me, I was there as well. It's okay. You're going to come into my world. You're going to breathe, first of all. Take a deep breath, and you're going to be like, okay, finally, somebody who makes sense, who is not ignoring the things that are actually holding you back or sugarcoating it, and actually addressing them. And not through more force, but also not pretending like just being high vibe all the time and everything's going to magically work. Knock on wood, it's real. So by the end of this phase, you'll be able to learn how to triage your daily emotions like a freaking pro. And you're going to be able to channel that money-making frequency on demand. So what that looks like is, on a daily basis, I'm like, okay, I feel this or that. I audit myself. And I'm like, you know what? I have full certainty of my success regardless. So even though I'm feeling this way, I'm going to be, and again, this is a learned muscle, right? It's going to take a little bit of practice, but you will then be like, okay, future me would do this, and take action from there. Pretty kind of straightforward, but trust me, the internal shift is like, it'll have you in a chokehold. So phase 4 is broadcast. So this is where we fill our funnel, we attract the right people, but only the ones already leaning in. Because again, we're not here to convince people, and we're also here to collapse sales timelines. So this is how that happens. So here's where we build that binge buzz, that bingeable buzz, because again, just post more. It's not a strategy. It's just a great recipe for burnout. And so this is essentially how we pour gasoline on that like pre-launch sales demand we were talking about, that we were already building in the funnel, but putting gasoline on it. So, and I absolutely love this part too. So we extract the most juiciest pieces, basically the belief shifts from your series, right? And we turn that into magnetic must-click content. So whether you're posting on Instagram, TikTok, ads, regardless, I do most of that, all three probably. And you do that, and you call in the exact perfect people that are exactly perfect for you. Like, I cannot say this enough, because one of the reasons why a lot of funnels beyond, just not priming, because like I'm sure you know who you're talking to in general, but you'll be surprised at when you really look and get dialed in how general technically, like how you're speaking to a group, right? You want to speak to just one person. So again, this is not noise, this is not hype, this is literally just desire and this instant obsession. And she's jumping into your series like it's like the next season of Bridgerton. And by the end, you'll literally have this rinse and repeat pre-launch strategy to call in people that literally compounds. It literally compounds and converts without all the chaos, without you feeling like, oh my God, is this post going to work? Without you throwing spaghetti at a wall, without you. And this is another thing that I see a lot of people do is they'll just post, but at the end of their post, they won't lead people anywhere. Like you'll post like, oh, I just had a great time at, so-and-so event that I just launched. But then after that, there's no CTA. We're going to, if you're in that phase, cool. If you're not, again, this funnel doesn't just sell for you, but it'll also like organize the way that you market across the board. It doesn't have to take over your whole marketing strategy, but if you don't technically have a structured one, this will help you so much, right? And in the final week, we actually sell your damn offer. And she's going to feel like you're literally inside her head, because she's going to find you mid-scroll and she's going to swear that you were heaven sent, that God put you right in front of her at the perfect time. So this is precision-based content that will close her very quickly. She'll go through your series, have any questions, any objections, everything that you can possibly think of without, fake urgency or, exhausting yourself on her feed. This type of content structure to have. It also mimics pre-launch content. It has premium buyer psychology. And it's also, she's going to think you're psychic. And she's going to be like, oh my God, like, I can't believe I just found you. Like, this is exactly what I needed. You're going to be hearing that. Oh my God, this is exactly what I needed at the perfect time. So she's going to be like, oh my God, this is exactly, like basically you're the answer she's manifested. She's going to think that, trust me. Think about how you probably found me. It's going to be pure, how did she know energy. So by the end, you'll have a plug and play sales content that collapses the buying window. And what I like to do with this is just using it and then starting the cycle over so that you don't have to, post 47 reels in a week just to stay relevant. And so again, this funnel hits really, really different because again, most funnel programs teach you urgency. They teach you bonus. They teach you timers. But this one teaches you belief. You're not going to be chasing. You're not going to be hyping or putting pressure, because the way that she flows through your series literally will make buying not buying riskier than buying. You'll be able to stop over explaining and overperforming and start selling in a way that makes her feel so seen, so safe, and literally sold before she ever hits her sales page. So this funnel doesn't just rely on your presence. It's fueled by belief-based demand that's built in your absence. So you'll be able to sell with your essence, not your physical presence. And it's not another, cookie cutter plug and play formula. This is going to be a new sales foundation. It's going to revolutionize the coaching industry. This is designed to compound, convert, and cash in, whether you're on or offline. And the longer you run it, the more and more you will build pre-launch sales demand and revenue on autopilot. So your new baseline will be consistent high cash months without launching. So as a bingeable founder, you'll be embodying the kind of woman, the kind of brand who sells without sprinting, because your funnel now mirrors your genius and compounds sales while you're resting. You're going to be able to stop refreshing your metrics, start refining powerfully, because you trust that your system is working just as much as you trust yourself. You're going to be attracting the kind of caliber of people that you will be attracting will wow you. People who binge and convert, not because you chased them down or because you reached out or cold called. No, because they felt you in every frame of your series, every episode. You're going to be able to navigate dips, plateaus, and peaks without the panic spiral, because you no longer perform for them. You're just going to hold them. Again, this isn't just a sales funnel. This is a full system shift. From over-efforting to embodied scale. I'm not even going to ask if you're in, because of course you are. Because this isn't just a funnel. It's a blueprint to your legacy. And listen. I know you didn't just start this business to make some noise. You started this to make a mark, to build a brand that moves without you, to create systems that sell. So you're not just scaling any income, you're scaling impact. You want to change the world. You're a freaking trailblazer. So this funnel isn't just a flash in the pan. It's the thing that your future self, your kids, and every woman who comes after you will thank you for. So here are your investment options. So for, like I said, enrollment closes on July 9th. This is the only time this offer will include direct access to me at this investment level. Insider access is literally, you're going to be shocked at the price. It's only $1,999. So it's going to be 9 weeks of guided funnel build plus weekly feedback. So modules will be dropped every Thursday starting July 10th. You're going to be able to leave questions, reflections directly on each training via Loom, and you're going to get a written response back before the end of the week or the following Monday. You're going to have the full bingeable series curriculum I just walked you through. So this is the proven bingeable architecture that turns cold strangers into yes-ready buyers on autopilot. You're going to have lifetime access to all the trainings plus replays, and you're going to have the sales priming plugin. So this is the swipe-based content system that I use to create launch level on demand. So you're going to be able to get access to all the content that I use. And there's a bonus, and I'll talk about that in a second. Now, there's also a VIP option. So this is for my girlies that want literally me in their back pocket. So this is $4,999. And I've limited this to 10 spots because obviously there's going to be a limit. But it's everything in the insider access plus private Telegram one-to-one access to me for 9 weeks. So here's where we map out your entire funnel together from top to bottom, messaging, mechanics, monetization, real-time guidance on every funnel decision. So series theme, episode content, offer flow, premium buyer psychology, belief shifts, your identity work, pricing, and audience growth. So you're going to get strategic feedback and coaching via video, voice, or text Tuesday through Friday. So I'll be available those days. And okay, so basically think of it as having like a funnel / messaging war room in your back pocket. And again, this is for the coach who doesn't want to guess. She wants to move quickly, go deep, and build her funnel with me inside her business. Inside this private Telegram chat, you'll have direct access to how I think, how I coach, and how I solve for your funnel, your offer, your messaging, and your mind. So you're going to bring your content, your audience blocks, your limiting beliefs, and baby, we're going to figure it out. I'm going to shift them. I'll bring the reframe, the rewrite, and the next right move. And again, nothing's off the table with that offer. And that will be $4.99. So on top of that, we have some perks. So I also have a 3-month private VIP container. Normally $10K for the 3 months. However, when you join, the regardless of which access level, you'll get a $2,000 credit. So basically, like, this offer becomes free. In other words, if you join the VIP, then it's, $5,000 credit. I forgot to put that on the sales page, but that would go toward my 3-month private VIP. So if you decide to scale with me after, this program 1-to-1, this program essentially becomes like a down payment to that. So that means that your funnel build would basically be free in girl math, right? So you can continue to work with me after that to scale. And so there's also another bonus. This is the potent product method. And I absolutely love this offer. This is a mini offer that I created for, if you think that, okay, you're liking everything, you're like, okay, this sounds great, I just don't know if my offer needs to be there. Like I said, we refine your offer in the first week. However, if you feel like, it's not that necessarily you want to like rebuild the whole thing, but it needs a little bit more than refinement, maybe it leads a little bit of like a revamp, then this bonus is literally an entire master class on how to make your product super potent. So it'll help you refine, reposition, or rebuild your offer to like cut the noise, command premium pricing, and actually convert. I mean, regardless of what the price is, this is going to help you sharpen and get your offer buyer ready. And it's basically the recipe that I've created to have everything, it's like a 5-point or 4-point strategy to make your offer super duper potent. It's called my potency recipe. So it's going to have urgency, it's going to have curiosity, it's going to have specificity. And the fourth one is urgency. Hold on, let me just look it up right now because potent product. Okay, the sales page is off right now, but yeah. So it's potency. Sorry, it's urgency, curiosity, specificity, and I forget the fourth one, but trust me, that offer is literally to die for because it'll help you to understand what your offer is missing. Because usually when an offer is like when you're having a hard trouble selling it and you know that you're selling it to the right person, but they're just not, I think it's high value need. Yeah. So all these 4 things are what your offer needs to have in order for it to sell at any price point immediately. And it's literally amazing. And let's see. Okay, we're already past the hours, 2:09. Frick, I wanted to do 2:03. So let's see. And yeah, that is my offer. I hope that this was helpful. Again, this is for you if you are a coach, consultant who's done playing small and is ready to sell with scale, certainty, and edge. You're done hand-holding followers who have a hard trouble, that take months of nurturing to buy, and you want to attract clients who binge you and apply with their wallets open. right? And it's like, if you know that your work is potent, but your marketing isn't matching your level of transformation, and you want messaging that moves people before the pitch, this is for you. If you're craving that consistency now, if you've built the brand, not just in your income, but in the quality of buyers that are coming into your world, if that's what you want, and you're not afraid of strategy, but you also know that belief, identity, and calibration to the funnel matters just as much, then this is for you, especially if you've outgrown surface tactics. You want a funnel that works because you work and you're ready to finally scale like a founder. This is not for you if you want someone to, hand you a done for you template without learning how to sell your unique genius. It's not for you if you're still obsessed with going viral instead of going profitable. Like, you think that you need to just add more bonuses or discounts or just throw in some other offers to grow. It's not. Okay. You aren't ready to be seen as the expert, only like a helper. Or if you're here and you're not passionate about what you do and you're just looking for a quick fix instead of a forever shift, right? And so I hope that this has been helpful, and I hope to see you inside the Bingeable Series Funnel program. Again, the pre-sale starts immediately. I'm posting the link to my sales page right now. I'm also post the link to my series. And yeah, I hope to see you inside. So this is the link to my sales page. And I will also post a link to my series as well. If you are like, okay, I want to catch up on your series first, I'll probably be adding my sales page to the bottom of the series right after this. But yeah, the pre-sale is officially open. I can't wait to see you inside. Bye.